Welcome to the Conversations with Christians Engaged podcast. I'm your host, Bunny Pounds, the president of Christians Engaged. This ministry exists to awaken, motivate, educate, and empower ordinary believers in Jesus Christ to do three things: to pray for our elected officials and our nation regularly, to vote in every election to impact our culture, and to engage in some form of civic education or involvement for the well-being of our nation.
I'm so thankful, Bunny, for what you do. A lot of people talk the talk, but you really walk the walk.
I love it. Love teaming up with you, Bunny. So excited about what you're doing and the people you're reaching. And
I will stand and lock arms with this woman of God, Bunny Pounds, any day of the week.
Bunny, you are a new hero of mine.
America is worth it. Now is the time. America needs your involvement. Please take our pledge to pray, vote, and engage. Join with a movement of other Christians that are doing these three simple things that can really impact this nation. Join us. Hey everybody, it's Bunny Pounds with another conversation with Christians Engaged. Christians Engaged is a ministry helping believers around Texas and now around America to pray, vote, and engage regularly. We are providing practical civic engagement education and also biblical education on all the hot topics that we are dealing with in our culture. And we want to help you as Bible-believing Christians, whether you're Protestant, Catholic, Church of Christ, Assembly of God, Baptist, whatever your label is. It's time for the church to get outside the building and impact our communities. So today, I am honored, extremely honored, to have a dear friend who I met years ago related to Israel activism, Mayor Tom Arceneaux of Shreveport, Louisiana. Tom, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you, Bunny.
Woohoo! Well, I met you and Elizabeth years ago in Washington, D.C., where we were at a policy conference with our friends at AIPAC doing pro-Israel activism. And I knew back then you had an extensive resume in helping your community as a person of faith. But I had no idea, and I don't think you ever had an idea, that it would turn into you being the mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Not at that time.
Did you expect that? Tell us a little bit about your history and what led to you running for mayor and this incredible season you've just been through.
I served on the city council here in Shreveport from 1982 to 1990, and I have been involved in policy making and political decisions and activism since 1982. In fact, interestingly, I got elected last year, and that was the 40th anniversary of my first run for political office. So it's something I have been interested in. I did not think that the timing was appropriate. And this time the timing was appropriate. I felt that there was a need. The need created the opportunity. And so we stuck our necks out there and started walking door to door and managed to get elected. So now the work begins.
Now you have to govern, but I want to highlight, Tom, I think your story is such an incredible story for the nation. And I say this just to contrast really a community with sometimes what we think a community wants, right? But we're a nonpartisan Christian ministry. We don't endorse candidates or political parties. But if I remember correctly, I read that you were the first Republican or someone that identifies with the Republican Party of having been elected mayor in the last 50 years of Shreveport. Is that correct?
No, not quite. It's been 24 years since we had a Republican mayor, 28 years since a Republican was elected. There have only been, besides me, two Republican, or as you say, people who identify as Republicans, elected since Reconstruction in Shreveport. So we are a predominantly Democrat population in Shreveport, and so it was an unusual circumstance. And what I tried to tell people when I was running is, I'm running as Tom Arceneaux. I happen to be a Republican. And, I think the people were ready for some change in what we were doing. I think they felt that I could bring about results. And now they give me the task of proving them right.
Well, you've done so much in your community, Tom, and I think this is what I want to highlight. We often think about the federal government, and we think all of our problems stem there, which a lot of our problems stem there. But where we can really make the greatest impact in our community as Christians is in our cities, in our counties, in our school boards. And you faithfully served at your local church, worshiped, we're on the praise and worship team. You wrote articles for the Shreveport Times. I want to get into that. You were involved in a ton of community activities, from boards to the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, everything you were involved in. And you were just active, very, very active in interfaith community efforts, different issues. But I would love for you to just talk to us about, when you're talking to Christians about impacting their community, where do you start?
I think you start with community organizations where you can volunteer and make a difference, and it needs to be organizations that you believe in, that you're passionate about their mission, so that you can really get involved, not to build a resume, but simply to get involved. And what you'll find is that once you get involved in some, you get invited to be involved in others, because any community really operates on a whole lot fewer people than you realize. And that if, as they say, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person to do it, because those are people who are committed to doing things and to getting results. And so the thing is that you get involved for the right reasons, and it gives you a chance, one, to learn how to do things, to learn about your community, to develop relationships with people. I've had a number of people that have asked me, Tom, what should I do if I want to run for office? I said, well, what I want to know is, where have you already been serving?
Right. That's key.
Where have you already been serving? Because, if the first option of service that somebody tries to take is a political office, number one, it's likely they're going to have a difficulty getting elected because they haven't built relationships in that area. And number two, I want to know what you've been doing when you weren't a headline maker, when you were behind the scenes, when you were really just serving. Because what I think communities need is servant leaders. And if I can see that somebody's been serving, then I have an idea that that's kind of where their heart is. And if I have somebody who's never been serving, they might have the right view of issues. They might agree with most things that I would agree with, but I don't have any track record of them actually serving when nobody was looking.
That is such a good point, Tom, because people wake up and they think, I instantly need to run for office. I need to be the next member of Congress. And you're like, no, you don't know anybody in the political parties. You don't know anybody in the community. You don't know any of the leadership. And so that is a really important point. Now, you're a part of a faith community, a church. I know your pastor as well, that is actively prays for America, believes for God to move in your city, right? But there's always this strain between, I've got to serve in the church, right? I've got to help the ministries of the church. But how does he help you as a strong believer go into the community and realize that you can be in ministry in the community as a servant leader? Talk to us a little bit about that as a Christian. How do you get over that?
I think it's a misconception from the start. And I think that many Christians believe that the way that they're supposed to serve is in the church. And I'm not saying you shouldn't serve in the church, but what I am saying is that everything that we do we should do as unto the Lord, right?
Yes,
And
right.
what Paul tells us. So if everything we do is unto the Lord, then my service as mayor is unto the Lord. My work as a lawyer was as unto the Lord. My work in the community was as unto the Lord. And I was called by the Lord. The ministry that he called me to was to be active in my community and to serve the people in my community. And the advantage of that is that if people, I don't wear a badge, but I hope that my life reflects the fact that I'm a Christian. And so if people work with me and they learn how I'm doing things and they learn who I am and what I stand for, and then they find out that I'm a Christian, then that's a testimony to the Lord.
Yes.
And it tends to draw people to Christ. And so that's kind of my form of evangelism. I may not stand on a street corner and hand out tracts, but I am still an evangelist for people to see that a Christian can serve and will be a servant leader in a community. And you prove that over time. You don't prove that in my view, you don't prove that in your first office. I have some good friends who the first thing they kind of stepped out in, besides their church, was political office, and they've been successful. They were very young people. And I think that's good. But you have somebody who's been in the community for a long time and they decide they want to run. My question is, where have you been?
Yes, this is the question of the hour. And our heart, Tom, as you know, is to get Christians to move outside the walls of the church and to impact people in their community. Because if we take the presence of God and we do it with practical wisdom, right? we take our gifts and talents and we use them for the betterment of our city. The doors that God can open to people's hearts and the impact that we can have on a city and a community is exponential. And it really is the sharing of the gospel in that. We open our mouth, but we're also living it through our lives, right?
Well, the best sermons are witnessed, not listened to.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you started writing a column years ago for the Shreveport Times from like a perspective of a citizen, and you started writing these columns. Can you talk to us about just the impact of your life, even in the newspaper, how that door opened and what you talked about and how that maybe even helped you where you are today?
No question that it helped me where I am today. The Times was, as you know, newspapers and news media generally have been going through a real transition period. And the Times was looking at that. I was a part of a focus group for that when the Times was looking at what they were going to do. Now, I will say that the Shreveport Times did not take my advice, but they should have, because their circulation is way down. I think had they taken my advice, it would have been way up. But as a result of that, one of the former editors put together a community board of columnists. There were 4 of us, and we each wrote once every 4 weeks. And so they asked me if I would do the column, which I said I was glad to do, and really enjoyed doing. And I'm actually 4 weeks goes by in a hurry. Anybody that works on deadlines, you know that 4 weeks goes by a lot faster than you thought it was going to go by. And so I would collect information for those columns. I wrote them. I think I wrote over 90 columns from 2014 until about a year ago. When I decided I was going to run for mayor, I told them no. And one of the things that also came up in that discussion was, what's the compensation? And I said, I don't want to be paid. I said, because I do not want to, first of all, they weren't going to pay me to compensate me for my time. I was a practicing lawyer.
Right.
So
it's not going to be worth it, but
it wasn't, and so my thought on that was I would rather be doing it from my heart than be doing it for compensation. And also I knew that they would that no budget cut would ever keep me from writing my column, because I was providing free copy for them. So it was a real interesting process.
It's a beautiful story. And so, what did you specifically write on? What was happening in the community, things that you were engaged in?
Mostly, I did a big column. As you know, we're both alumni of the America Israel Education Foundation trips to Israel, and so I actually kept a diary on my trip, and I was reporting back every day as I was typing as we were on the bus going from place to place, and then they published they published a summary of my whole trip when I got back. I wrote about bond proposals and whether or not schools were going to close, city budgetary issues. I wrote about indigent defense of people who were accused of crime and couldn't afford lawyers, in a wide variety of topics. And they never told me what to write about, and they really never edited my column, except occasionally they would cut a paragraph or two just for space limitations, but really didn't do very much of that. So they gave me a space goal, and I
Build
fit
it
with
up.
that goal. And so, and now if they were asking me to write 750 words and I wrote 3,000, they would have edited it. But I stayed within my limit, or relatively close to it.
I love it. I love it. And now you were a voice into that city all those years, Tom, and that is just a blessing that God opened that door for you. So, the city of Shreveport is a very diverse city. I mean, you have, your population's very diverse. And so there's a lot of people that voted for you and supported you in this run for mayor that probably doesn't agree with you on every little issue. But you built coalitions and you had conversations with people that look different than you, that go to different churches than you, that are different faiths than you. How do you rally and how do you advise Christians to do that and, to have those conversations and to keep an open mind and show that you're a servant leader? That must have been a fascinating process.
Well, first of all, local government, if you go door to door as we did, Elizabeth and I started walking door to door on the 9th day of April of last year. And if you go door to door and you talk to people, you find out that it doesn't matter what neighborhood they live in. It doesn't matter what their income level. It doesn't matter what their party registration is. And it doesn't matter what their race is. They all want the same things. They want a safe neighborhood. They want jobs for their children. They want their children to be able to come back to Shreveport. So as I would like and don't have, you can have, be close to your grandchildren and your children. And that's what people want. And so if you can focus on the things that people agree about and not emphasize the things that they disagree about, on the major items, we agree. And the same is likely true of county government seats. The same is true of just a wide variety of local government positions. Right. Now, further up the daisy chain you go, the more likely there are going to be divergent views. But local government is a place where you can cut your teeth and know that that most of the time people are going to agree with you. Then, for people who are not accustomed to, for example, casting a vote for a Republican, you have to convince them that that basically you will listen to them. I did that by walking door to door. My wife did that by walking door to door. Literally, we probably went to over 40,000 households last year, and we met people where they were. And we didn't concentrate on just the places where we thought we would be strong. We walked in places where we knew we probably weren't going to get a majority of the votes, but we still want to connect with the people.
It's so beautiful, and it's the power of one-on-one conversations and face-to-face conversations that we can have, and that's why I've loved your story and Elizabeth's story, that you all, both of you, in your own ways, have served around the passions that were in your heart and saying, you know what, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to be a leader on it, and let's see what happens. Let's see who gathers around that. So we're motivating, Tom, as you know, for people of faith to get involved in these spaces. And it's sometimes mundane, right? I mean, here you are taking over.
You always start with mundane. You know, if you're not willing to do windows, don't do it. If you're not willing to scrape up dirt off the street, if you're not willing to pick up litter, then don't talk to me about public service.
I love that. But it's not hard. It's not that difficult. You just have to be willing and able to do the work and to get in there and build friendships and relationships of people that want to do something for their community. How do you inspire people in your own local church community and others to just take that step and start building a crazy resume like yours, brother, because it's extensive?
Well, not everybody is, some of that. Not everybody is motivated to do as many things as I did. You don't have to do that many, those kinds of things. Those were just things that touched my heart. I was available to do those things. But what I try and do is tell people they do need to be involved. It's great to be, I guess it's great to be at the church every time the doors are open, but I want to be in the community that often. And that takes some effort. And sometimes it means you don't go to the Wednesday night prayer meeting. It means you're out in the community on Wednesday night doing the work of the Lord by serving your community. And to me, that is the critical thing that I try and impress. And of course, people see me doing what I do, and I lead by example.
It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful story of how God has taken your life, Tom, and used it for the city of Shreveport. And I know your service is going to be incredible in the years to come. And what a blessing for everybody that's known you and walked with you to see this day happen. And the people of Shreveport, I believe, is going to be blessed. And it's a great day. So would you do me an honor of just, as we close out here, just praying over the people
Sure.
that are listening to us and listening to this whole series, the month of March, where this whole series is on everything local. And we're empowering Christians wherever they live around the United States to start building these stories. And you, as a perfect testimony of that, it's just a perfect one to pray for us today, if you don't mind.
I would be honored to do that. Lord, we come to you today with humility. We want you, Lord, to use us. We are your vessels. And Lord, you have put gifts within each of us, and you've put motivation for service in each of us. Give us, Lord, your direction. Give us the things that we are able to do in our communities so that we may serve you by serving our communities, and that they will see the light and let your light shine, Lord, because we are servants and they see that we are servants. So Lord, give us that strength, give us that humility, give us that willingness. And we just ask all of this, Lord, in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Mayor Tom Arceneaux of Shreveport, Louisiana. Tom, it's a blessing to see you. I want to remind everybody, check out our Salt and Light curriculum, how to impact your local communities. 8 hours, guys, of videos, discussion questions, PDFs. I teach how to run a local campaign. That whole class is worth $5,000 right there. This class is only $29 for your whole family. And then you can also lead people through it as area leaders for Christians Engaged, or we have strategic ministry partners. Local churches can get all of our curriculum for free being a ministry partner with us. So thank you so much, Mayor, and let's go take our cities for Jesus and be servant
Amen.
leaders in every place. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much. I appreciate being able to be with you, Bunny. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible podcast. What a time we've had. We love you so much. We love being in your life. Have you subscribed? Have you shared this with your family and friends? Please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you get your audio or video pods. We need your help. This mission is undergirded by individuals just like you that support this ministry monthly, annually, and whenever you think about us, to be able to reach over 1 million Christians in the next 2 years. That's our goal. We want to empower 1 million Christians around America to pray, vote, and engage regularly. Will you help us? We're here to do that, and we need your help. I want to say thank you to our partners at The Stream. What an incredible online publication put out by James Robison and Life Outreach International, as we come together across denominational lines as believers to discern what God's saying about the news of the day and to hear from different viewpoints. Check out The Stream, make it your homepage, and get on their email list. This product is amazing. Also, our partners at Edify app, put out by Christian Post. This podcast app is a convergence of Bible teachers around America. We're excited to be a part of Edify app. Check out all their other podcasts. Thank you so much again for caring about this nation. We're here to help you pray, vote, and engage. We'll see you next week.